What's up, EETV? My name is Argon, and this is my college. This is Skyrim's premier magical institution for research and arcane development. It looks great from afar, a real man-made wonder. But soon as you walk through that front door, this place is sadly far from wondrous. Our bridge has been busted up since before Ulfric Stormcloak could even walk. It makes coming in and out of college needlessly treacherous, on top of making this place look real raggedy. Apparently, masonry is a magic not known to the greatest wizards and scholars of Skyrim. Next up, we have the courtyard. And man, I've seen better groundskeeping in the abandoned ruins. These shrubs and trees take up a lot of space, but are also just a straight up eyesore. The dorms and Arcanium, unfortunately, don't get any prettier. The insides look like they've been decorated by an overzealous hunter. The walls, shelves, and floors are all covered with some kind of animal head, skull, or hide. There's weirdly just a bunch of barrels, boxes, and hay lying all around too.
I came to the college to study magic and escape the farm life, but it looks like it just followed me all the way up here too.
So please, EETV, can you pimp my college?
Yo, what's up, Armin?
It's Argon.
What up, Aaron? We heard your cries and we're on our way. Rest assured, no expense will be spared. It's time to pimp your college. Let's go. Greetings, friends. My name is Ephraim and I like playing Skyrim in the Xbox with mods and telling you all about those mods in the video. Thanks for tuning in. And welcome to the new and improved College of Winterhold tour. So, why am I doing this? Again. Well, mainly because the first video is outdated in terms of technical production and information. There are some details I overlooked, plus there are some minor updates that I'd like to discuss with some mod pairing advice. However, the biggest update being this mod's inclusion in the Mystical Scholarship mod bundle, which adds in tons of new content to the College of Winterhold and in the surrounding area. There's a lot that Magic users and college lovers will enjoy in this 45 megabyte mod pack. Very good quality and quantity for the size. But this video isn't about the mod pack. This is about the main element, the college. More importantly, this is about redemption. I've mentioned several times that I really like the Magical College of Winterhold in the past, and it has a permanent place in my load order. The original video does not do it justice in showing exactly how much style and content it has, and my presentation is rather sloppy.
Thankfully, I have a moment to catch my breath as you examine, and oh boy, this is gonna go great. I'm gonna be talking faster than the Flash with a stick up his ass.
I don't feel it's a good showcase of a mod I regard so highly, so it's time to give it the proper respect it deserves with a proper showcase. One with accurate, detailed info, far better production value, and concise and thought out commentary this time. Also less of whatever this is.
And no spaghetti.
Somebody touch my spaghetti!
Now, once more with feeling, this is the Magical College of Winterhold in Skyrim for the Xbox and PlayStation by Sable17. To start things off, we'll take a look at the bridge leading up to the college. Surprisingly, a few have asked if there were any additions or fixes to the bridge, and as you can see here, the bridge has received a proper patchwork to stop any unfortunate accidents that may happen when traversing it. Moving right along to the courtyard, where you'll see two additions to make use of all the space and eliminate a lot of the unnecessary shrubbery from the vanilla game. On the right, you'll see a leafless tree with orbs of mage light hanging from its branches and some glowing runed rocks at the base of the trunk, as well as some benches you can sit on. On the same right hand side, you'll see tables and benches with smaller versions of the previously discussed tree. These stone picnic tables are interactable, meaning you can sit down at them to kill some time in the unpleasant cold. How do those Russian chess players do this? It's already starting off more eye-pleasing than the vanilla college. On the left side of the courtyard, you'll notice a nice new alchemy garden and a gardening table. Here you can find almost all the alchemy plants in the game, including some ingredients from the DLCs, which you can obtain in mainland Skyrim without mods. Feel free to pick and use them, however I've never been able to confirm if they grow back. Never really noticed, but I'm just going to say yes because I'm naive. There is also a magical barrier radiating from the small stone thingy. If you activate it, you lower the barrier, which does nothing apart from change the visual style of the garden, from lush green to snow dusted. This is purely cosmetic and has no gameplay effect. I like leaving it on because it looks pretty sweet, especially at night. On the table you'll find a handful of books, a skill book that grants 1 level of alchemy sitting on the bottom shelf, a blank journal, which is kinda pointless, but okay, cool, and a study of alchemy book. This mod includes the study of books for every school of magic. They are only decorative items for the sake of immersion and serious roleplay. They merely contain sweet looking symbols that look like somebody's tattoos. Apart from these, you'll find more alchemy ingredients, miscellaneous items, barrels and satchels for storage, and an apiary filled with bees and honeycomb. I don't know if the items in the apiary replenish, as I've never bothered to take them out and care to check later. You'll also find another mod exclusive item called Enchanted Soil, which does absolutely nothing. It's a bag of dirt. That is all. The last thing to mention out here is a small decorative change. The statue in the center now holds some magic flames, which simply makes it look much cooler. Now that's just about everything out here, so let's move inside because I'm freezing my ass off. This armor is all just shine. It's not very well insulated. The dorms and rooms have been treated with a very nice, stylish overhaul. The mod maker and I both agree the interior of the vanilla college was absolutely hideous, so this is a much needed makeover. Like, why are these in the dining room? That'll get me to eat here. Good lord, woman, do you think you have enough beer and wine? This one's okay. This was Ancana's room. Fuck that guy. What's quite cool is that every room comes with items that these characters might actually have. It gives them a slight amount of extra personality, however basic that may be. I won't go into every room in detail, but I will highlight the ones I like the most. But before that, let's talk all about what you might initially see when you come into the Hall of Attainment. Now, if you look to your right, you might notice a note posted on the door frame. Now, this may be because I have mods installed like Cutting Room Floor by Arthmore, or because of an Anniversary Edition update / addition. This just in. After a brief moment of research, I can confirm the note is indeed from the Cutting Room Floor mod. It's a good mod. More on this later. Back to you, Ephraim. The note is about the missing students you may have heard about. You can follow up with the Conjuration Mage, Finis Gester, for more details, and embark on an unmarked quest to find them. At the center of the room, there are some orbs of light just hanging around the blue beam that simply adds in a touch of magical charm. And if you turn right, you come into your room that was gifted to you at the beginning of the quest line. Your room is least interesting, but we'll cover it anyway. In it, you'll find more storage containers, backup mage robes and hoods, basic spell books and scrolls, skill books that level up destruction and alchemy, and a shrine of Julianos. You'll find each room has these shrines, so you're never far from a small magicka buff and free disease cleanse. It's pretty nice. Let's move on to a far more interesting room, Brielna's room. As a dark elf, her room is fitted with Dunmer items and aesthetic pieces that come straight from the Dragonborn DLC. Here you'll find Dunmer clothing, Ashiam, Sujamma, and Mazd. Mazd? I don't know, someone in the comments gonna make fun of me for that mispronunciation regardless, so fuck you. Her desk is outfitted with other Dunmer ornaments, hanging red lamps, a map of Solstheim, a small skull of Karstag, and a miniature statue of the goddess Azura, which I like a lot and is the most fitting piece of the entire room. Now you could see this all as throwing in some base game Dark Elf assets simply to go with the character, because what else are you gonna do with her room? But if you take your role playing seriously, you could go a bit deeper. Ultimately, these are all comfort items for her, much like how people in the real world might bring some possessions with them that remind them of their friends and family, and helps treat occasional homesickness. She is after all a young student far from home, possibly for her first time. If this was intended, it's a nice sentiment for the character. But what we can all agree on is this is a really thoughtfully decorated room, and ultimately gives you a taste at the level of detail when it comes to overhauling this Skyrim monument. Now, if you don't give a shit about any of that, there's also some conjuration skill books and potions here. Have at it. Fuck you. Now, the only crafting / resource area in this part of the college is the kitchen located on the second floor. Here you'll find a handful of free delicious foods, including several items from the Hearthfire DLC and some pots of soup. These items could all be useful for a survival mode run. There's a cooking pot for you to make your own meals too, situated right beneath a fireplace. There's some other student rooms here too, but they aren't as heavily detailed and therefore not worth really getting into. And some common rooms with misc items, books, and food. Nothing else really special to mention. Oh shit, is that garlic bread? Nothing else really special to mention here, so let's check out the other dorms. Ah, there's that beautiful Skyrim weather I've come to know and love. This is where the senior members of the college are housed, and they got some cool stuff of their own. The most notable decorative item you'll see is a small desktop trinket of what spells the senior mages specialize in. Conjuration has a sweet dark theme spell, Destruction is a fireball, and Illusion is an invisibility spell. The only members that don't have a cool death spell are the Master Enchanter and the Restoration Mage.
You consider Restoration a valid school of magic, worthy of study, don't you? Don't you?
I guess not. Apart from that, each of the rooms has skill books, potions, ingredients, enchanted apparel, random magic knickknacks and doodads, and miscellaneous college items to fit their administrative motif. One quick thing I wanted to mention about the Restoration Mage is that there's a rude note on her desk that mocks her study. She actually mentions these mean messages in the vanilla game.
Once again, I have found very insulting notes left in my personal effects.
But there was never any actual notes or proof of her colleagues speaking ill of her. This was a quick throwaway line she says occasionally, and I'm glad the mod maker picked up on that and implemented it in for a bit of comedic world building. Now on the second floor there are two useful rooms, an alchemy lab and an enchanting chamber. The lab includes a variety of ingredients, including more items from the Dawnguard and Dragonborn DLCs. You also see some interesting decorative items like these small cauldrons on the right. You may have noticed these amateur health potions around the college as well. They heal 1 health point, so don't bother picking them up, they're purely cosmetic. The enchanting room is quite nice, obviously outfitted with soul gems books and scrolls. You also find some artifacts, which are just miniature chests from the Soul Cairn, an area in the Dawnguard DLC. It's a good looking, well placed asset. You may have also noticed these bags of enchanted dust. Again, they are weak potion like items granting 1% magicka and stamina regen, now worth picking up and using and ultimately serve as magical garnish. Now that's all I wanted to cover in these two places. I recommend exploring these rooms yourself to check out the many small details that personify some of these characters or snag some rare items. There's still some barrels, boxes, and hay around, but they've been relegated to storage areas as opposed to being used as filler for lack of magical aesthetic. You also find these areas are now animal head and hide free. Huzzah! So far, the mod maker has done an excellent job of improving the style and tone of the college by implementing these little wizardy items. But we're just getting started. Let's move over to the main tower, where all the serious magic takes place. Now, there is absolutely nothing to note on the upper walkway. No additions or items to speak of, but it does serve as a clever transition to the next area. Wouldn't you agree? First on our tower tour, the Hall of Elements. This area is arguably the least altered or improved, as with just a quick glance, you'll see no huge changes. The additions are all situated in the back. First, you'll probably notice the shelves stocked up with magicka potions, free to use at your discretion. They look very nice and meticulously placed, which is a shame because they get knocked around and make a mess during the final battle with Ancano. Immediately next to these shelves, you'll notice two new items, the Fonts of Pure Magicka and the Enchanted Golem. The font will completely replenish your magicka when it's activated. The Enchanted Golem is used for practicing your spells, essentially meaning you can train your magic skills. It can also be used for weapon skills by simply attacking it. The mod maker recommends using only vanilla spells as they cannot guarantee that the golem will react positively with modded spells. So far, magic mods from Ine Scion, Apocalypse and Odin are fine, but the perk overhaul mod, Ordinator, can get a bit dicey with some of the mage perks. There's even an etched tablet warning the use of modded spells on the golem, which is a sort of in-universe warning. The only decorations to note here are several stone plaques placed high on the walls. There are 5 in total, 1 for each conventional school of magic. And that's it for the Hall of the Elements. Not a whole lot going on, but it's nice to see the mod maker do something with the empty usable space in this section of the college. The additions are great for training your skills the old-fashioned way, and are a welcome addition both functionally and lore-wise. Now, let's head upstairs to see how Skyrim's great library gets even greater. Now this spot alone puts the magical in the Magical College of Winterhold. When I first downloaded the mod and came to this place, I couldn't help but liken it to the fantasy libraries of books, movies, and TV. There's some strong Hogwarts energy here. Now all the cosmetic elements are base game assets, but they still feel otherworldly, which provides a sense of wonderment and fantasy an arcane library of this supposed caliber is rightfully supposed to feel like. The floating books and candles give off an enchanted castle vibe. The hologram magic icons are super cool and eye-catching, basically begging you to walk towards the center to use them. There's some new interesting crafting stations that are mod exclusive. They're not all that impressive functionally, but aesthetically better looking than the vanilla college's tables and chairs littered with wine bottles, plates, and other random assortments of crap. Speaking of random assortments of crap, this mod also adds in some of that too, but you'll find it's all for looking like actual magical study is taking place, while other items look like part of a rare collection. The result is a library that looks lived in and believable. The final thing I want to note is the complete absence of animal heads and hides on the walls and floors. Instead, and I just found out about this recently, some of the walls are lined with two-tier bookcases to make this library far more impressive. The overall appearance of the Arcanium is top-notch and makes you wish this is what you got from the base game. Visually, it's a hell of a transformation. Now let's get into detail with all the stuff this mod brings.
Go away.
When you first enter the Arcanium, you're greeted with 3 different crafting stations: the Arcane Enchanter, Alchemy Labs, and a new station, the Soul Gem Converter. The Enchanter and Lab have nothing new going on with them that you haven't seen before. Soul Gems, skill books, ingredients, potions, storage, the usual. They do have some new eye-catching decorations: the floating Soul Gem from the Soul Cairn, the collection of bugs in jars, and a couple of tiny cauldrons on some burners. The Alchemy Lab does have a usable cauldron that also functions as another lab just to your right, so you can get your Macbeth on. Toil, bubble, tubble, droil, oh what the fuck was it? It's the exact same as an Alchemy Lab, no extra potion yield or other special effects. There's also an open book with a lit up icon. It provides an alchemy buff that's slightly different from the other schools, but we'll get to that later. First, let's talk Soul Gem conversion. It's pretty simple and straightforward. You take empty soul gems and smash them into shards. Then you reconstruct those shards into bigger or smaller gems. Pretty useful if you want smaller gems for recharging staves and weapons, or bigger gems earlier in the game for better weapon and armor enchantments. Soul gem fragments are not usable, they're still just pieces of garbage. And unfortunately you can't acquire black soul gems at all with this thing. Now let's move on to the enchanted skill books and one of the more interesting additions of this mod. In the center of the room, you'll find several large books with the icon of each magical school being projected from them. They will grant you a small magical buff, making your spell stronger for a decently long time. Study the skill you like by activating the book. You then acquire the major effect of that specific skill, which you can check in the active effects menu. The conventional schools of magic, destruction, conjuration, restoration, and illusion, gain a 10% stronger effectiveness with those spells for 3 in real life hours. Enchanting and alchemy get the same strength increase, but it only lasts for 1 hour. You cannot stack these effects as you can only obtain 1 at a time. Around the perimeter of the Arcanium, there are even more books granting a different effect to the skills previously mentioned. You'll find smaller books with the icon of each school, except for enchanting and alchemy, resting on some shelves in a slanted position. Activating these will grant you the learning effect, which grants you a 20% increase in leveling that skill for a whopping 11 hours. Again, the schools of alchemy and enchanting are much shorter. This is a great addition to the game, especially if you want to level your skills in magic naturally. These effects seem right for the college as well, especially since it's supposed to be a place where mages come to learn and practice magic. Overall, it's a solid addition. The final addition to the Arcanium is located on the walls surrounding the entryway. They are the paper recycling station and the scroll crafter. These two services work in tandem with each other, and although they aren't the most useful addition to the game, they're cool visually and as a concept. To recycle paper, simply take ruined or burned books you'll find all around the world and convert them into rolls of paper. You can then use those rolls of paper to make scrolls by using a spell tome or converting your studies of a specific magic into notes. These notes will grant you a much stronger effectiveness for a shorter amount of time, 20% stronger spells for only 1 hour. Sadly, notes can't be made for alchemy or enchanting. You can find these notes in the potions section. That just about wraps up the new stuff in the Arcanium, but I wanted to quickly cover some of the things from the base game that may have been slightly shifted or moved around. Firstly, the investigator's chest, used for the midden side quests with the rings in the hand and whatnot, is located behind Urag's desk, right under the display case. Urag's desk also contains 2 Anniversary Edition items. One is a journal that begins a new quest in which you have to find and tame a unicorn. It's pretty annoying. Get back here, you little shit! The other is supposed to be on his desk as well, but you'll most likely find it on the floor right in front of his desk instead. It is a spell tome for telekinetic arrows. There's a note that explains how it works, which is good because I've never used it before and don't know how. Finally, you'll find a handful of books on the floor to the right of Urag's desk, as if someone was studying. There's another journal here that begins another quest, one which rewards you with Goldbrand, a golden one-handed katana. Watch out after putting the notes back down, because you'll be attacked by invisible Bohemian. Bohemian. They're all broke, salty art majors. Watch out because after putting the notes down, you'll be attacked by invisible Boethian cultists. And the mod page mentions some illusion spellbooks that have been moved somewhere else or something. I have no idea what they're talking about, so I won't bother with it. And that's just about everything in this room. It's really good. So let's finish this mod up. Let's head up to the final area of the college, the head honcho's room, the Archmage's quarters. But let's get there in style. Now, arise! Yeah. It seems I don't have the levitation spell quite down yet. And I appear to be stuck and can't get down. Well, that was embarrassing. Quick, cut to something else until I can sort this out.
Wow, a yard sale!
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
The Archmage's room in the vanilla game was already quite awesome, so I'm happy to say this mod cranks it up to 11. The mod amplifies this room in both style and functionality. There's a lot to this room, so enough meandering, let's just jump into it. The entryway had been completely converted to a nice gardening area. The back wall is completely covered with potted soil for planting ingredients. There's a total of 24 usable pots, and 2 more being used for already planted spike grass and scathecraw at the top of the shelf. Unfortunately, you can't unplant these. It's all lit up by these little sunballs, I'm guessing as a form of artificial sunlight. There's also some barrels, chests, and satchels on the side for storage. Let's pull a 180 to check out the table right behind you. It's decorated with small glowy plants and structures that don't have any function but looks nice. It'd be nice to have some sort of interactable on this table. Don't get me wrong, everything looks great, but it does feel like something else should go here to play around with. Maybe an environment change in this small plot of land, a very small pet, or the tree here can produce sleeping tree sap. In any event, let's get back on course. The table also contains simple potion, recipes, and misc notes. Here's something I didn't realize until recently. The table actually doubles as another storage container. Look at that, you learn something new every day. Now let's move to the center of the room that's been completely remodeled. The intent is for it to look more administrative, and it achieves that, but I feel as it's a bit of a wasted space as there are no NPCs that can come in and sit in this conference table. You get a throne, a bunch of knick-knack decorative pieces, and another shrine of jewels. There's an Archmage key that I recommend you take early to gain access to this room and the rooftop before completing the college quest. Right before the desk is a tall shelf decorated with even more ornaments from the Dragonborn and Dawnguard quests. At the foot of the shelf sits a spider imbuing chamber from the Dragonborn DLC that functions slightly differently. Use spider eggs, elemental salts, alchemy ingredients, and gems to create spider scrolls. In the DB expansion, you needed spider pods, so this one is far easier to use. If you've never used spider scrolls, I highly recommend using them as they're a lot of fun. They're different, so give them a try. They are now far easier to access with this mod. So I actually just noticed these, no idea if they were added in from the last update or if they were originally in the mod. In any event, these candles sitting atop the shelves are quite nice. If you look closely, you'll notice they all have a different magical effect, one from each spell of the major schools, like Reanimate Corpse, Paralysis, and the 3 destruction elements. It's a pretty sick touch to the already damn good looking area. If you look to the left of the imbuing chamber, you'll notice a Stone of Baranzaya. However, this is only if you've installed the mod on a fresh game. For mods on an existing save, the gem can be found in the fire pit right next to the oven. Apart from this stuff, there are empty bookcases for storage, and that about wraps up the center. So let's move to the sections along the perimeter of the room. Hey, there's another enchanting station with nothing you haven't seen already. We're moving on. There's a staff enchanter again from Dragonborn, stocked with a bunch of unenchanted staffs. You have a very limited supply of heartstones in this room, back on the shelf we previously talked about, so you can't make a whole lot of staffs. There's a panel on the wall for dismissing the staff enchanter and spider imbuing chamber if you'd like. The staff enchanter just kinda pieces out, while the imbuing chamber is replaced with a Daedric book. As we continue around the room, we come to the smithing area, equipped with all the crafting stations, tanning rack, anvil, grindstone, a workbench with hologram weapons, and a smelter in the shape of a cookpot. Ha! That's cute. Moving along to the closet and bedroom, you have lots of chests, wardrobes, and backup archmage robes, one of which is a hoodless version. The bed in the bedroom might be labeled as owned even after you complete the college main quest, but you can still use it normally. On the back wall above the bed, you can see another stone plaque with all the main schools of magic. Activating them creates a nice green projection which does nothing apart from look cool. On the opposite wall there's some weapon racks, and on the nightstand there's a destruction skill book, but more importantly, more garlic bread. Next up is the kitchen, which of course has food and storage containers, but also Hearthfire's oven so you can make bread. For some reason I have a glitched dumpling bouncing up whenever I use the oven. It doesn't do anything or affect anything. I don't know how to fix it, but it's silly and I like it. Next to the kitchen is a lounge area with some couches, a bookshelf, alchemy ingredients in the form of potted plants, and another jeweled shrine resting on top of it. Finally, we have another alchemy lab furnished with all the things we've already discussed. I'm not saying it again, we're not doing it, I'm so tired. Potions, ingredients, fucking storage, whatever, who cares. There's one more thing to the Archmage's area, so let's go upstairs one last time. I got the key from Old Man Orin. Go, go, go! The final element of this mod is a beautiful rooftop study. Upon entry of the roof, you'll discover a new area. And this is for the purpose of providing a fast travel location directly to the Archmage room. The study is quite nice, and if it wasn't completely exposed to the elements, I'd say it's quite cozy. The ceiling is fixed up with an interesting Dwemer chandelier covered by little green floating embers, and the room itself is simply decorated with couches, bookcases, maps, and miniature artifacts. Apart from this room looking quite distinguished, it also provides a small resource you might find useful. Coming over to the artifact on top of the map will allow you to study the magics. It grants you the Archmage Studies effect, which helps level your traditional mage skills, everything except alchemy and enchanting, of course. The last thing I want to note is that even the outside is lightly decorated. The windows of the room come with this tacky Starry Night wallpaper. Even though I don't care for it all that much, it's nice to see the level of detail even in a location few will notice. It's that level of detail that makes this mod so good. You can clearly tell a lot of effort went into all of it. We have now covered everything this mod has to offer. But I just wanted to give some constructive criticism, mod pairing, and tips before I sign off. I really do believe a great deal of effort went into transforming the unimpressive, drab vanilla college into a place straight out of a fairy tale. Admit it, when you first played this game and heard about the mages in the College of Winterhold, you thought there'd be far more fantasy tropes and cool magic stuffs everywhere, only to find a disappointing amount of actual mystical aesthetic. With this mod, it truly feels like the college lives up to the hype, but I still feel a lot more could be done. This mod does a decent job of filling in space with far more magical items and points of interest. However, by working on this video and doing a thorough comb over of the entire institute, there's still some space begging to be filled and played with. For example, there are these alchemy boxes in the Arcanium that feel like filler. Instead, some display cases with Dwemer stuff, Mythic Dawn memorabilia, or other various weapons or magical artifact replicas could be used instead. I'm not entirely sure if that'd be more accurate with the college, but I feel that it would easily fit in with the rest of the aesthetic pieces and it wouldn't seriously offend most people. There's also a completely empty room in the Hall of Countenance that could be used for a variety of uses. The college has a long history and tons of alums to be used for content. Farengar from Whiterun comes to mind, as he never shuts up about urging you to join the college.
You know, if you've got the aptitude, you should join the Mages College in Winterhold.
Okay, thank you. You could fill this room with ancient Nord artifacts, dragon miniatures, a map of dragon burial sites, just a lot of dragon stuff that'd be on character. Then simply leave a journal or note as to why he left the college, possibly taking the job in Whiterun to be closer to Bleak Falls Barrow or to work more closely with his contact, Delphine. This room has potential for some even more cool stuff and character expanding details. Although the Archmage's room is very, very good, there are some things I would still like to see. For starters, more trophy-like display plaques and stands in some of the usable spaces. This comes from the fact that the Anniversary Edition brings Learwatch.
Alright, time out, time right the hell out.
It's Mirrorwatch, not Learwatch. I must have been hitting the sauce pretty hard when I wrote this. So I wrote Learwatch into my script several times, didn't bother double checking it, and then recorded it. So I'm going to be saying Learwatch instead of Mirrorwatch for the remainder of this video. Fuck me, right? A player home for mages located in Morthal that imitates the Archmage quarters in terms of structure and features, but really rivals it in terms of content. Learwatch comes with a gallery outfitted with display plaques, weapon racks, mannequins, and other item stands for rare magical items found in all parts of the game. It would be nice if similar content was implemented into the Archmage quarters in this mod, or in the usable space in the college in general. For example, dismissing the staff enchanter just to unveil some glowing wall art is pretty underwhelming. Instead, that space can be used to store rare staffs, like the Staff of Magnus, the Spider Control Rod, and so on with the weapon rack. It'd be a sweet hidden storage option and gives you something else to do with these items. Also, not a huge fan of the Archmage robes just casually tossed on the ground. This room would really benefit from a mannequin. Yes, this is an old mod and this suggestion is now redundant because of AE's Learwatch, but I can't help but ignore missed potential with this mod. Now the Midden is still untouched, which is fine, it is part of the college, but I understand the main goal of this mod was to mystify the main building. The Midden is plenty mysterious and mystical already, and if you want a completed experience, this mod works very well with other mods that alters the Midden. Speaking of other mods pairing well with this one, let's talk all about those. I briefly touched on this mod earlier. The cutting room floor mod will add in things to the game that were originally cut out, which of course includes the college. It'll add some extra quest dialogue, misc items for side quests and tasks, and a specific NPC, the college guard.
What do you need?
It's not all that game changing, but side quest stuff is a welcome addition, and it's nice to see more NPCs populate this huge building. While on the topic of more NPCs, you should also install extended encounters for a busier college. This mod will add in more random NPCs to the entire game. They kind of just do their own thing, wander the roads, sell you minor alchemy ingredients, attack you after completing certain quests like Remain of Followers. Specifically for the college, it'll add these non-hostile black-robed mages to some parts of the building, most notably the Arcanium. They'll just kind of wander, sit around, do some NPC stuff like read books, which is fine with me. It assists with immersion as the college is supposedly meant to attract mages of all walks of life for research and practice. It's also a nice surprise to see some fresh faces to break up the monotony of seeing the same 5 people who inhabit this whole huge ass building. The final thing I want to touch on is some advice for this mod. The mod maker and I recommend installing this mod on a new game. There is absolutely nothing wrong with installing this mod mid-playthrough, except if you have any items stored in vanilla college containers. This mod will overwrite any items in those containers with either empty space or random items it generates, ultimately deleting the items you'd originally placed. And if you were to disable or delete this mod while having items stored in any of the storage spaces, those will surely be deleted as well. Just a word of warning in case you have some rare or powerful items anywhere in the college. Secondly, and we're about to talk about something real sexy, we're going to talk about mod placement. It is recommended that you place the Magical College of Winterhold as low as possible in your load order to avoid mod conflicts that will also affect college cells. Admittedly, I don't have it as low as it could be, but I don't have a problem with it in this position. May be different for you. If you are having any sort of issue, graphically or performance wise, the answer will most likely be to place this mod much lower in your load order. This is one of my favorite mods of all time, and hopefully with this video I've shown you exactly why that is. The College of Winterhold is such an important place in Skyrim for a lot of reasons, and with the hype the game built for it throughout several quests, I am sure you expected it to look incredible. With this mod you get the fantasy college you expected, enchanted set pieces, meticulously placed artifacts and mystical items, several objects and effects to actually train your magical skills, and some immersive elements. The Archmage Quarters is a tad bit outdated now with AE's addition of Leerwatch, but I'd say it's even better now because you can install both of them on the same save and make use of some of the features one has that the other lacks. I've said this many times already, but the point still stands even after all this time. Despite how you like to play this game, at some point you'll need to come to the college for one thing or another. With this mod you can actually enjoy your stay as it's now one of the nicest places in all Skyrim. You can utilize different services and resources to train your character as you stop by, and it's especially useful if you want help in training one of the schools of magic. It is a fantastic mod that shows the author poured in tons of effort and passion into. This mod is so good I felt I had the need to talk about it one more time after all this time, to do it justice. That alone says more than anything else I could literally say. And with that, I've said enough. So let me know what you think about the mod or the video in the comments. Maybe I missed something, you need some clarification, or you just want to leave your thoughts. Now, I'd like to take a moment to thank my buddy Eric for helping me out with this video. He lended his voice acting talents to make the intro to this video possible. I think he fucking killed it. He's never played Skyrim, so he had no idea what the hell he was even talking about, and he totally nailed the tone and inflection that I wanted for this particular skit. He streams over at Twitch at twitch.tv/thehysteric. Links in the description below. Go over there and give him a follow just because he's a great guy. Seriously, thank you, Eric. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Ephraim. Adios.